All right. Hello, you guys. Welcome to Inner Radiance. This is a podcast for creating your life from the inside out. We are here to talk about epic dreams and new earth creations, and I'm featuring experts from all over the world who are on the front lines of ascension and really bringing in and harnessing in all of the future energy. And it is not all sunshine and roses, but this podcast is created to give you hope, to connect you to the leaders that are going to support you, and to support you with some practical tools for navigating life on earth as a healer, a new earth creator, and a visionary. So I am here today with Magic Kathy. How are you doing, my dear?
Thank you, first of all, for inviting me and giving me a little microphone to speak about all the things that we have to speak about these days. I'm riding the wave since we started into Pisces season today. So what can we do then swim in the ocean of consciousness and wildness? Yeah, so that's how it's fluctuating how I am, but overall upstream.
That's cool. I read your recent post on Instagram and I am not an astrologer. I haven't delved into astrology, but I love reading your posts because they always hit home for me. And what really hit home was grab a surfboard. Grab a surfboard, learn how to surf because in Pisces season, give us a little bit of background about Pisces season because you mentioned it right off the bat.
So it's kind of, I don't want to say a mixed bag, but in from the astrological standpoint, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So it's the last season before the new year, because the astrological new year is Aries season. So and we are in a 9 year, which is also a closure year, a shedding year. The snake year is all about shedding and death and all of that. And Pisces is literally the final sign also, which means death and surrendering to, the greater plan of the universe. And that means that in Pisces season, the North Node is now also in Pisces. Everything is in Pisces. It's foggy. It's like a lot of things that we have to just let go of and surrender and dissolve and just we cannot control anything. It's just beyond us. We cannot predict anything. It's like literally you're in water and you can't swim, but you have to trust that the ocean actually carries you when you just relax, actually, because then you swim on the surface, right?
Yeah, you can, well, float. I would love to
Yeah.
float, Kathy.
Yeah. I feel like we are floating
Yeah,
we are floating in space on
I'd
a
say.
giant rock that's Earth. But
Mhm.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've been feeling all of this, but lacking the bigger picture and how the astrology is really helping us
Mm.
transform. And the year of the snake. I mean, I saw a snake in my dream a couple
Wow.
weeks ago, and it bit my dog, and it got me really scared. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is transformation. It was right before snake season, or
Mm.
um, but how we really need new skills to navigate these new waters of life. And if we're living in more of a matrix reality, holding on, trying to force, trying to push, needing to know, it's not working in our favor, is it?
Yeah, you hit the spot here. We need new tools. And even with the nodes now being in, it's that polarity or that axis, Pisces and Virgo. Virgo is all about those herbs and, the more earthly kind of like remedies that we might want to use, alternative health. And the North Node though is in Pisces, which means that there will be a lot of medical things, or even in our experience where we feel like I don't know what to take, quote unquote, anymore from the matrix, from the traditional remedies. Nothing works anymore because we have to really understand that now. The bigger picture is that Pluto is now in Aquarius for good, which means that it's so obvious that it's all about our energy. It's
Frequency.
all about our energy. And so each and every individual also has to see what resonates, right, with their own vibrational field. Like what your energy field needs might be different than mine. And
Mm-hmm.
again, like someone going to the doctor, blood works, everything fine, but they feel off. Well, it might be an energetic thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, everyone will look at you like you're cuckoo, but it's the soul of theirs. You know, it's not that there's something wrong with your body. It's like you have to integrate the upgrades. That's what I like to say. And it's
Uh-huh.
also where we have to surrender to the fluctuations, even in our bodies, in our energy levels,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, where it's like, okay, I don't know right now where this change in my energy field is coming from because I cannot see necessarily what's going on there with the solar flares or with the Schumann resonance, or even, you know, we cannot see with our eyes the 5D field that has an impact on us, or the person that I just saw next door that had a fucking mood and I didn't even know, you know. That's
And you
why I
picked
like
up
to
on the
be,
mood.
yeah, exactly. And you don't know, you know, maybe they would, that person just had, I don't know, was crying all day and you absorbed all of that grief and you're like, gosh, what's happening, you know?
Is this energy mine? Where's it coming from? So we're really needing to become energy specialists, right? In a way, and understanding how the energetics of our body work in correlation to everything else that's going on the planet. Like
Yes
what's
and
your
no, because I feel like that's too, how do I put that? I think that's where we have to make a shift in perception.
mm,
Um, because if we would approach it this way, we won't, like there was no way we will make it, I want to say, because it's just too exhausting, right? Because then we have to constantly be like, oh gosh, what tool do I need? So I think the shift in perception that is also being almost forced onto us right now, because otherwise we won't be able to manage, is to see that we are all one ocean. So to not, yeah, again, to let go of your own personal importance, I want to say. Or like that you know, it's my energy field, this is his energy field now, you know, where did I pick up on? It's like sometimes we get assigned an energy field, let's just say, from that person that is not able to process it themselves. Like the best analogy I can bring is us specifically, our generation, compared to our parents. We are in a state of spiritual luxury, like literally they did not have the tools to learn about emotional intelligence, energy work, any of that. And yes, we can blame them now for, you know, us having emotional problems and needing to work through all of that. But I mean, they didn't have any tools. They did nothing, you know. And then the generation before them that raised them, they were just in pure survival mode. You know,
mm,
that it would be a luxury to think like, hey, can you learn, you know, how to, I don't know, nonviolent communication, or, you know,
mhm.
think about my emotional needs instead of something else. And like, no, we have to make sure that you are surviving, you know? So it's
Yeah.
like in our generation, sometimes we have to really see that we have also, you know, the grace or the ability to use meditation to even know that this tool exists, and then all of the support and everything that we have access to online to
So
support
much.
us, the
Yeah.
music, the sound baths on YouTube, like there's just so much. And you know, then again, going back to that analogy, sometimes we, because obviously we have parents or we don't have, but we have a family. Sometimes you even wake up a day and you process something for your mother because
Yep.
she would not be able to process it herself. And you
Hmm.
don't know about it, you know, but it's like a karmic kind of thing that goes on in the background, let's just say. We don't know because we are all at the end of the day one collective consciousness. And I mean, yet there are specific people, I want to say, that signed up to do more light work than others during this time.
Hmm.
And we were excited about it. You know, we don't know it every day where it's like, gosh, really? That's the full-time job I signed up for? But we
It is a
did, you know?
full-time job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the luxury. We're living in a luxury reality because we do have access to so much information. And um, it's a luxury to expand your consciousness beyond survival, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also a, I mean, honestly, like from a higher perspective, soul perspective, it's it's a playground where we are in. It's like the most amazing playground where we get to play with sound, with colors, with, shamanic healing, with this healing, this healing. It's like something that I would have, I mean, I did dream of when I was a child. I'm like, one day would be so nice to have conversations like that. And we forget about it because we are now in it and we're like, oh, but then it's like, it's so fun what we do. Like we have
Mm.
conversations like this, you know?
Yeah. We're living we're living the dream. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like being spiritually awake and being having access to the abundance of communication, conversations, the abundance of skills and tools that are coming online as we need them. I've been experiencing that too. Just my cells in the middle of the night, like vibrating and opening up. And I'm like, whoa, that's a new frequency field that I'm shifting. And well, I wish I could do it while I was awake. It really requires the body being so relaxed in order for the upgrades to come in. And, sleep is kind of like, well, when you're a light worker, you're like, sleep.
Yep.
I'll catch up. I'll catch up when I'm dead, right? But I remember as a kid feeling like love was something that we had yet to experience, that we had yet to feel that connection with other people, that we had yet to experience living from that heart field. I call it the diamond heart because it's what, in my experience, is what's connected all of the intelligence of human beings, that we understand that we are one, we're experiencing oneness. And how do we make that better for everybody by working on ourselves, doing the work that, you know, isn't always the easy work, if it's a karmic clearing or clearing your mother's ancestry or your father's ancestry, or just doing the deep dives that I feel like the cosmos, and maybe you can share with this, is really forcing us into a new place within ourselves to access these deeper tools. How do you how do you experience that in your reality?
Very, very much also spot on because what I mentioned, that the only way is a shift in perception
Hmm.
to go further from here, because that ultimately would mean that we see the world through the heart again, like a child, there is no separation. And that mean like the only remedy, or I want to say the frequency that banishes everything is love. Period. Like, when people come to me and ask about, the parasites here, the germs here, the whatever, like the psychic attacks and all of the things, right? There's just one remedy, nothing. Like, I mean, just everyone look at Harry Potter. Even in Harry Potter, it's the thing. Love transmutes everything. It saves
Yeah.
everything. If you are in the vibration of love, that's actually what the fifth 5D reality is. It's the vibration of
Hmm.
love. So our
Hmm.
job is to clear the field, so to speak, that we are in, for ourselves, for others, for the world, whatever. It's just clearing the field from everything that is not love. So
Hmm.
it's there's just one way. We have to ask ourselves, is this love? Is this love? Like, and it starts within us, with even the thoughts that we have. Is this a loving thought
Hmm.
or not? Is this not a loving thought? Is this a generous, loving thought, which comes also back to, our personal agendas, our greed. It's like whenever we are in quote unquote ego or our own personality drama, right? And we don't see the bigger picture, we have to ask ourselves, is this love? And if the answer is no, okay, that gets to be cleared,
Hmm.
Is this coming from, again, the intention and the vibration of love? And if we train ourselves to think this way, we automatically vibrate this way as well. And I think then it gets easier. It's obviously not easy because whenever emotions are involved and we have these emotional experiences, it's very tricky for us to stay in that vibration of love, which is also why children then at some point flip out of it and become
Mhm.
quote unquote narcissists, right? Where
Or
they
they
just like
cry, or
everything's
they,
about me.
they
Yeah.
they get angry.
Yeah.
In in my experience of maintaining a frequency of love the best I can, um, I actually need the emotions to be able to release
Yeah.
whatever is not aligned with love. And then after I have the emotion, what my heart that understands love on,
Better.
yeah, on the divine level is then able to create something new from love. So
I
if
mean, that's even, why we are even here. Like if you see like the bigger picture of who are we or what are we are
Mhm,
actually the universe experiencing itself in order to learn.
mhm,
So we project our consciousness into a state of polarity or a vibration of polarity in order to learn about contrast, because otherwise we could not know what true love is. We have to see the opposite. And so
yeah.
every single day in this dimension, you will meet contrast or polarity in
Mhm,
order to learn.
mhm,
The thing is where it gets tricky, and that's also, the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is judgment.
mm,
So judgment is the thing that we label things as this is a good experience or this is not a good experience or whatever. Everything is actually an experience where love learns about love.
yeah,
Even the craziest, wildest like suffering.
yeah.
Okay, I'm learning right now about love because I see suffering.
Hmm. Okay. And so if we look at, there's so much going on in the world that feels like it's out of control.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are feeling these deep emotions that don't feel like love. And I could just hear people saying, well, if I'm experiencing the death of a loved one, or if I'm experiencing, just this pain of loss, how is that love? And so then I feel too, I'm going to use the word universe, but I'm also going to use the word God,
Yeah.
that that we have this judgment on God, that God creates suffering just to keep us in pain, but God allows the pain to become the purpose, and to the purpose is to evolve into love,
Yeah.
right? As a human family, it is to evolve into love.
And to learn about love. As hard as it can be when we are in this dimension here and we lose someone we love,
Mhm.
and we say, how can this be love when I experienced grief? Well, it shows you how deeply you love that person,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So it
Yes.
teaches you a lot about love. It's
Yes.
all about love.
Yeah. Wow. Because that's the other, the grief is the other side of love, or
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
essence of love. Like you really feel how deeply you love that person. And can
Hmm.
we be also grateful for experiencing that depth of loving a person, you
Mm,
know? And then obviously stepping outside of the human drama, I want to say, and understand that energy cannot die actually.
it's
So this
eternal.
person is not gone. It's just in a different I want to say, yeah, it's in a
Like a different
different
dimension.
dimension, and we can tap into it in other ways. So
Mm,
you're always connected, because that's another thing, when we talk about telepathy or whatever, it's all through the heart. So
mm,
in the heart, you will always be connected. It's just as you are connected to God in your heart.
yes.
And
Yes.
whenever you feel disconnected from God or the universe, it's because you're disconnected from the heart, because it's always in there.
Hmm. How do you personally tap into the heart during times where things are a little murky? 'Cause we're in murky
Yeah.
times right now.
So murky. I
Hmm.
mean, for me, sound is probably my biggest, I want to say more so mantras than sound. Like I'm a big fan of chanting mantras or listening to mantras, just music, sound, vibration, obviously meditation.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, that's probably the best tool for me. And then also stillness, going into nature, like looking at a child that is, laughing, or
Mhm.
even if I feel as like specifically actually when I have a really shitty day, the
Uh-huh.
best remedy to put me back into my heart is something that I would actually not like to do in that moment, but I know it shifts not just my energy, but other people's energy. I go outside
Mhm.
and I make a compliment to whoever I see, or I smile at them. And they, first of all, everyone is kind of surprised because these days it's not normal. And then you
Right.
make their day. And while you make their day, you feel better, because you know that you brought some light into the world.
Mm.
And you know that you interrupted someone's day for a second too, where they are on autopilot, right? And we all just have to take a minute and breathe.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Last night I was feeling pretty down and grumpy and tired, and my husband started to rub my feet, and then it started to tickle. So I started to laugh out loud. I mean, just like belly laughs, like I was a child again. And he's like, I knew I needed to shift your energy because this is you're not usually grumpy. So he just, ignited this
Love
energy
that.
of joy, and it was fun. But so it's like interrupting. What I hear you say and what I'm sharing too is like interrupting the pattern of disconnection
Yeah.
that we have. And that seems like a really simple tool that anyone can do, really, is um go in the opposite direction,
Yeah. And
right?
I
So that
don't, you can have your moment of
Mhm.
um, being in your emotional experience because we also don't want to bypass anything. But
Correct.
I think we have this tendency to hold on to it for too long, to analyze and to
Mhm.
be like, oh gosh, why is this happening? What happened? Like, why? And how can I change it? Okay,
Yeah.
you just put the focus away. Like, have your minute to process, but then
Yeah.
go out for a walk and see if it's still there. Hey, we can go back into our little pity party, right? But
Hmm.
do something and see if it actually will just be magically gone, I want to say.
Yeah. Magic. Magic Kathy. Oh, I
Yeah.
meant to ask you, how did you get that name?
Actually, I think it was when I started, I did not have any name for, I want to say, my business or my company or what I want to do. And then I saw this TED talk, and he was talking about abracadabra and what
Ah.
that actually means with, like, using words and language to kind of like hack your brain in a way and to,
Mm.
rewire your brain. And for some reason, I that really spoke to me. And I was not spiritual, like tapped in at all at that time. But that abracadabra really stood out to me. That's why I still have the email address. My first business was that. And yeah, for some reason it felt so magic. I was like, oh well, then I'm gonna call myself Magic Kathy with abracadabra, you know. And so that's how it started. Very much like not too much spiritual context, but it sounded, but obviously it's always like a higher whatever
Yeah,
was
you
working
resonated
for
with
me.
it
You
immediately. It
know,
spoke to
years
you. Yeah.
later, I understood why that name and everything was selected, I want to say.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What are you feeling into for the future, Kathy? What are you tapping into for the next 5 to 10 years?
A lot of changes and shifts, and still a lot of purging, obviously, because
Hmm.
we are really in this like reconstruct. It feels like we have, I mean, yeah, and we, in a way, we are. It's interesting that I bring up this analogy. Like after the Second World War, where we had to build the world again. That's how
Yes,
it
so
feels.
building the new world again,
Yeah.
building a new, yeah, that's what I'm feeling too. I mean, I'm feeling like we're being given these skills to deconstruct like the old versions of ourselves that no longer vibrate at the frequency that is required for the creation, but also this letting go process. that I feel, even in my own experience of a transformationalist, it still feels like I want to hold on to things. It still feels like, oh, I don't know what's next. And I often see myself in dreams hanging onto a cliff and knowing that I have to like let go of the cliff and knowing that if I let go of the cliff, then whatever new doorway is going to open up, but it still feels like, ah, when your a version of you is dying, right? And there's like that, oh, this no longer works. Here she goes. But also being given the tools to be able to fly and ascend and truly emerge into the new beings that we need to be. And I feel like the rest of the world is catching up with what we've been doing for the past 10, 15 years. And these tools that we've been creating get to be shared widely with people who are coming out of the kind of like the amnesia of, oh, wait a minute, there's another whole life to live.
Yes. And a while, I mean, a long time ago, actually now, just probably like 1.5 years ago, I started to get these like clear inner knowings and I mean, basically God, spirit, whoever, whatever you want to say, speaking to me. And I really understood and saw how, I mean, we move into the age of the sleeping phoenix, right? From a human design perspective, out of the cross of planning. So it should have been clear to me, but I never really saw myself in the picture too. What I mean by that is that the cards will be and have been reshuffled over and over and over again. So it's like, if you think of, we can say the one for 144,000, right? The ones that decided to, do the most light work during this time. It's like our roles or places and positions are being reshuffled because
Mm.
it's based on, how the whole field reacts, and then where do we, it's like a chess game in a way. Okay, now we have to move you here, and now
Yes,
you have to play
pivoting.
this role, and now
Yes,
you have to do this. So it's like we have to be so fucking flexible, and it's kind of like exhausting because you thought you would have grown into this new way and that this was your new thing and path, and you finally got it right, and then spirit is like, wait, we need you over here now. And like,
absolutely. It's pivoting. It's
yeah.
being, I mean, even having a conversation with my assistant who runs the back end of my business, she said, you and three of my other clients, whatever you created in the month of January, she's like, each one of you told me that that's no longer relevant.
Yeah,
I
same.
know. I said, I know. I am day to day, depending on, because my spirit speaks to me in dreams. It's like, oh my gosh, well, I'm having a dream about this, and I have to share this reality, and this is the message. And I, it's letting go and letting whatever. I mean, I'm just like, God, like, where do you need me today? What do you want me to focus on? What
Yeah,
message do you want me to share today? And it's different every day, depending
yeah,
on what frequency needs to be shared. Some days it's fire, right? Some days it's like, here we've got to, it's a strong message. Some days it comes from anger. And I'm like, okay, well, can I share that energy from anger? And I'm just learning to embrace all of myself. Like, well, she's this version today, and tomorrow she's going to be this version, and all of them are relevant to the field,
yes.
all of them. And it's wild. It is a wild ride.
Yeah, and that's I get again, it pushes us into not making everything so personal about us. It's like, okay, today I'm the vessel for this and tomorrow for this.
Mm,
Just don't
yeah.
put a label on me anymore. I'm like this kind of person.
Yeah. Oh man, imagine if we really got to the point where there wasn't a label for anything and we
That
did just all see it
I
as
mean,
love.
essentially that's where we move into, with everything where it's like every day you come here. And I just finished an amazing book also by R.G. Spiner, and he says it many times, and like a good practice for everyone is to just pretend you just arrived here.
Mm.
You just arrived here. You don't know anything. You know nothing about you, about the world, about anything. And you just literally tap into your own instincts or what comes through. And
Mm.
you don't filter it through, can I do this? Can I do this? Or can I do this not? Or how does it have to look like? Who is going to, you don't know who is watching. You don't know what's out there in other forms. You just do, like, okay,
Mm.
so how a child would operate, I don't know
Yeah.
anything, but this feels good right now.
Yeah, following your bliss.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we should give people permission listening to this to follow their breath, their bliss. Follow your hearts,
Yeah.
right? That's how we met. We were following our
Yeah.
hearts, right?
Very much so. Yeah.
And we ended up in Egypt together on a voyage.
Which is a whole nother story because I mean, I'm still like kind of like integrating, processing, understanding what this whole wild ride was all about. It was literally a vortex of, I mean, temple hopping, sleeping on the Nile, and then you were out of it. It's like it was sucking you in and spitting you out, and like, okay, now what?
Now you use what you got, but
Yeah.
it's still being shown. Yeah, it was really powerful. I'm still I'm still grappling with, because I don't have the background really or the history, but knowing that the deities and the goddesses and the gods, that those are all versions of us as well. For instance, Isis really resonated with me, and the resurrection of men, and the Great Pyramid of Giza, just having the phenomenal experience that we had there. But there was a lot that I didn't resonate with in the old energy of Egypt, and it felt really heavy to me, a lot of it. So I know we did a lot of clearing work on the temples and vortexes and things like that. So,
It was so needed. I feel I even said it to Dylan, who was with me. I feel like I was just there to clear the field because there was just so much gunk from people not respecting, understanding, and like tourism, and just this like very much harvesting energy where I feel like, oh gosh, we have to kind of like purify so it's sacred again.
hmm
That was for me also really sad and saddening. I understand it to a certain degree, but it also showed, the greed of the people and then not respecting the land and like things like that, where it's like, oh gosh, there's just so much happening here. Um,
it
and
was
then
a lot.
yeah, it was really a lot, but it's a reflection of the world essentially, because Egypt, to me, what I understood is the subconscious mind. So it almost was like clearing the subconscious agendas, because I don't think that anyone goes there necessarily on purpose with a greedy intention or anything of that, but it's like the subconscious greed and like gunky energy of the human brain, and not respecting others, or not respecting God or sacredness,
hmm
using
hmm
the hearts from sacredness and just being like, oh, I'm in Egypt and in order to do a selfie, like that kind of mentality, what I
Yeah.
felt like, okay, this is something we don't have to just clear from Egypt, but generally, like, what are my intentions for doing specific things? Am I doing it from the heart or to get something? Do
Yeah,
I go to
that's
either to give or to get? And a
right.
lot of energy there was like, I'm getting upgrades and I'm, all of that,
hmm
where it's like, okay, can we see that actually we go somewhere to give something?
hmm
You
Yeah,
know?
that's beautiful. What are you tapping into in terms of visions that you see for yourself, or visions that you're seeing for the future?
We are always in the state of like, I'm working for a future goal and I'm never enjoying now. And
So
when you
powerful.
ask me about, when are we in 5D or what are 5D timelines, And honestly, you can be in 5D now. Like the experience of 5D, what we said earlier, is this complete and utter openness of the heart. And I'm pretty sure we have moments during the day where we are there,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, we might it fluctuates and we are not there anymore. Or we have a whole day where we are there, right?
Yeah.
And you've been in 5D all or like in that vibration, because it's really just a shift in vibration, right? And
Mm-hmm.
perception. So it's not that we go to a different place or a different earth or any of that. It's this state of peace and loving energy. That's really what it is all about. And when you are in this place and you can notice that yourself, you actually perceive less of the drama,
Absolutely.
because all of that is only in your perception if your vibration is a match to it. So if your vibration is no longer a match to the drama, it's not happening for you. Yes,
So
you
you're
can
in a
go back
different,
to
yep,
exactly. You
yep.
can't
You're in a
perceive
different
it. Like
bandwidth. You're in a
exactly.
different timeline. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can mess with that by watching the news, then you
Mhm.
perceive it again, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Then it becomes, it's in your field. And so you're feeling
exactly.
it again. So you're in that vibration.
And it's not about bypassing, right? But if
Mm-hmm.
you look around right now where you are,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's so hard to say something like that, but I'm not sitting next to someone, a bomb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not next to a war zone. It's
Mm-hmm.
not in my vibrational
Yes. And if
field.
it was, you would be there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I have to worry.
Yeah.
Then I have to worry.
Yep.
But right now,
Yep.
I have to see where I did a podcast actually with Jacob Lieberman. He's all about luminous life.
Mm-hmm.
And the best takeaway that I have from him, and it's really become my anchor, is the thing that matters most is what catches your eye every single day. That's what you need to pay attention to. It's, the work that you have to do, what stands out to you today.
Mm-hmm.
Not thinking about what stood out to you yesterday or what could stand out to you tomorrow. It's like consciousness, God, wanting you to see that because it's
Mm-hmm.
relevant for your path and for your co-creation with God today,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you
And so
can
you
close your
go with
eyes
that.
from it.
And,
Exactly. Go with
and
that.
that's
It's
the
like
abundance,
it's a
right?
simple formula, right?
Yep.
It's sometimes, it might feel too mundane because it's like, okay, what stands out to me right now? It was even what Jacob said is like, gosh, there's dirt on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you clean the fucking dirt from the floor.
Mm-hmm. Or you organize your cabinets or you unload the
Yes.
dishwasher because that's what's your
Yes.
attention on,
Yes.
right? Yeah. And then just do it. Don't
Just
assign a
do that.
value to it or yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that because it kind of brings up this, we're on a spiral, right? And we're moving through time. And I recently had an experience with my husband where we love skiing and we went skiing for Valentine's Day. And we were skiing down the slope and all of a sudden all these things started to go wrong. Like my goggles fell off. He had all this equipment issue and I said, my intuition started saying, do these things. Go get a sharpener for your skis. We were on a ski trail and the ski trail was icy and we're like, we're not going to go back there. So we went to a different ski trail and then we saw a race course. And my heart was saying, go ski the race course. And that's what I was being led to and magnetized. I call it like a magnetism of what would feel really incredible right now and lift your vibration out of whatever wasn't working because something that we were doing was it was in an old reality. I really felt like we leaped time together because it was in an old reality. It didn't work, it didn't fit, it was breaking down. But then when we the universe was like, go here, do this, and we did it. And at the end, we just felt this incredible rush. We're like, oh my gosh, this feels really magic. And I think that's what you're saying is like the universe is going to point out to you the direction. by putting the things in front of you, just like you got put in front of me when I was like, okay, podcast interview, who's going to be amazing? And boom, your name pops up and all these other names. I'm like, okay, I'm gathering all of this abundance right now for the bigger creation that is, 5D, if you want to call it that, because it feels really good. And when we're feeling really good and co-creating, then we're out of the muck.
Yeah.
We're out of the mix. We're out of the war zone, that even if it's not in a war zone, there's people who are fighting and neighbors and, you know, a lot going on right now that feels heavy.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, we know it's happening, but the only what we also know, let's just say it this way, is that we came here to be the contrasting frequency, right?
Yeah.
And
Ooh,
hold the
ooh.
light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the contrasting frequency. There's so much
Yeah.
that I would love to say about that, because it's going against the grain. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going this way. And I know
Okay. I'm gonna
y'all aren't
smile
gonna
even
follow
more if you
me.
come with me with the mood.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We came here to be the contrasting frequency. And yes, of course, that's not always easy because, yeah, you have to go against the grain and you have to make sure that you don't blend your frequency into, what you see in the contrast. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, the more contrast is there, the more need for you is there.
Yeah. That I love that, because I know there's people who are listening who are in a lot of contrast, and it's
Yeah.
not I'm in contrast as well, but really feeling the pain of the contrast. So let's if we could bring this together and cap it with love and hope, the contrast is guiding us back to what? The contrast is needed because why is it needed again?
In order to experience what is love and what is not love.
Okay, so it's bringing us back to love.
Because again, everything from my point of view or perception is, I want to say, a game or a simulation to learn more about love.
Okay.
Everything that we experience in this dimension is how can we learn more about love? Or love wants to experience more about its capacity to love, right?
Mm,
And so, no matter what we experience here, it is learning us about love, or is teaching
okay.
us about love.
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely. We have a
And
lot to
our
learn.
job is to be little love seeds, love buds.
That's why we were here,
Yeah.
That's why we chose this world, because we held it within us, this vision of a loving planet, peaceful planet. Yeah.
Even those people that might be, violent or do things that we label as this is not love, they also learn about love while they are doing it. And
Hmm.
again, it's actually not the others, it's a part of the consciousness that also wants to learn about love. So can we see in them how consciousness through them wants to experience love or learn
Mm,
about love? Which is
hmm.
hard, I know. If there are horrible things, let's just say,
Horrible
happening
things going on.
in the world, but
Hmm.
we wouldn't see that if someone, steals or does something that we might perceive as or judge as this is not a good thing to do. They will learn about love through that, and
Hmm.
karma will teach them.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I've seen that. And I've seen even how my own karma has brought me
Yeah.
back to love.
Even I just the other day I shared I really, really, I love this. This is probably the best description or explanation of karma that I've ever heard from a spiritual teacher as well.
Hmm.
And she said, because when we hear karma, it feels like, oh my gosh, I've done something, and I have to go whatever and suffer for many lifetimes because I've done it
Suffer
or
for my
whatever.
sins. Hmm.
Yeah. And she said, karma is actually a pretty simple concept. Um, it's just where you have not learned a lesson yet, what is more loving and what is not more loving. So even the things that we go through over and over again, we think it's our karma with that relationships or whatever. It's wherever we have not chosen love.
Mm,
And it's you can revert or burn your karma in an instant when you learn the lesson and okay, that would be more loving, you know?
yes, yes. I learned this with my ex-husband, who I never thought that I would ever come to a,
Mm.
a loving acceptance and peace. And I have. I realized how powerful, I realized how much hating someone took me out of love alignment. And so it became my job to every time that pain came up, every time that loop came up, how can I love more? And
Yeah,
taking
because you're
action
only hurting yourself because
is your
what
own.
you close your
Yes.
heart.
Yes, because it was closing my heart. And I said,
And
wow,
then a good time being, how easy can you then in a personal experience with all other aspects in life, how can you be in that 5D or, beautiful, blissful experience if you hold that energy of hate
mm,
towards one person?
yeah, right. It holds back everything.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. And it's really, I'm thinking of forgiveness as being one of the first acts of love, and God's forgiveness for everything, and the unconditional love of God. Understanding how that works, I think is important.
Yeah, there's a reason why the Hawaiians have the Ho'oponopono. You
Everybody
know,
brings that up. Yeah.
yeah, the forgiveness prayer. It's the ultimate remedy for everything because at some point you understand forgive yourself for that own misjudgment and you honor that. It's like it's yeah, it's the ultimate healing tool.
Beautiful. Well, Magic Kathy, this has been phenomenal. I love unpacking all of this stuff and playing with you. Thank you so much for being a guest on Inner Radiance. And bottom line is love. It is all about the journey back to the heart, back to love. And if you want to reach out to Kathy, follow her on Instagram. We're going to leave links to catch up with her and join her community. And thank you so much for watching, and come back for more. Bye.
Cool. Mhm. Bye.